Hello, and welcome back to another low-quality HPC kitchen video. Have you ever had to go cook in a different kitchen? And you get there and suddenly everything's out of place. You don't know where the basic tools are, you don't have the right ingredients, and so on. It can be annoying. And this is an even worse problem for computers, because computers don't have a brain. Computers are exact. The code has to be exact. So whenever you go and run some code on another computer, if all the data is not in the exact place, or all the code is not in the exact place where it's expected, all the dependencies are not there, your code won't work at all. And that's not good. So what do we do about that? Well, you might think that one solution is to try to work with no dependencies. So say you write your Python code, you only use what's in the standard library, and you re-implement everything from there by yourself. So this can work for some simple things, but once you get to advanced enough work, it's really more trouble than it's worth. Is someone really going to re-implement all of machine learning from scratch using nothing but the Python standard library? No, that's just not how it works. And the same no matter what you do. So what do people do instead? They have containers and environments, as is represented by this container. So what it lets you do is it lets you take all the dependencies you need with you wherever you go to the other computers. So either recreate the dependencies exactly as you need there, or like I said, take it with you. So I should point out that the containers usually aren't for taking data. It's only code and code dependencies. Data is usually outside the container and brought separately. Okay, so how do you make a container or an environment? Well, you start with a manifest. So in this metaphor, I have a packing list here. So taking the packing list, I'll go and I'll take all the random stuff I need. I'll go grab some random things from the kitchen. Try not to think too much about what I put in there because it probably makes no sense at all. But anyway, the checklist lets us make the thing. And most importantly, it's written down, so it's reproducible. That's very important. So once we have the container, we can move it around or recreate it as needed. Some containers don't only have the packing list, but you can run scripts which do operations and create what's inside of there. But that's not important right now. Okay, so exactly what is this container? So this is one of the places where the HPC kitchen metaphor, I think, isn't very ideal. So there's two main types that you might use within computing. One is what's actually called a container, and this contains the entire operating system inside of it. So for example, you can make a Linux container with an Ubuntu operating system inside that runs on your Red Hat-based cluster. And this can have all the different system libraries you need inside of it. So some common tools here are Docker, Singularity, or Apptainer. Docker is mainly for like sort of operational deployments and servers, while Apptainer is what's usually used on clusters these days. Another example is for software environments. So this is, for example, you have Python code, and it has all of the dependencies you need inside of there. So you could take Python and then try to install all the dependencies just on the system itself. And this might be simple if it's only your computer, but it doesn't work on another cluster or something like that. And certainly doesn't work when you have different versions needed for different projects. So for that, what we do is we make the software environment. So in Python, they're usually called virtual environments or Conda environments, two different tools with slightly different ways of working. And these are usually remade on each system you need. So you have the manifest file, requirements.txt or environment.yaml, and you'll copy this to the computer where you're working. You'll say, okay, remake my environment. It downloads all the stuff and installs it there, and then there you have it. Your environment's been reproduced on the other computer. That's unlike the operating system containers, which are usually, but not always, built in one place and then transferred around as one single file. Okay, so what happens when you need to update the container? So let's say, for example, now we're advancing our project and there's 3 new dependencies. Well, we could take the list and take what's inside of there and verify each individual thing on there, add in new things, look and make sure there's nothing extra that shouldn't be on there. But that's slow. So what actually happens is we take and we dump everything out. Then we take the packing list and we recreate it from scratch. Since this is all automated, it's very fast for the computer to do. And okay, we take whatever new stuff. Try not to think too much about what's in here because who knows. Okay, and there now we have the update. And the importance of this can't be understated. So now managing your environments has gone from a manual effort where for each change you need to run something and figure out what's different and do it and hope you did it correctly. And if you didn't do it correctly, then you might not be able to do it again, to something which anytime there's an update, you delete it and recreate it. And recreating is automatic. So that verifies that what's on your packing list is correct and lets you make sure it's reproducible. Okay, so that's the basic idea. So the metaphor isn't perfect because this is not exactly code and things like that that's stored in here. But the idea is the same. You have the list, you can repack when you need, and you're sure that it's always the same. So what you do next, I'd recommend asking your friends or colleagues what environments or container tools are usually used within your field or your group. Start with that, study it, and then make it. And when anything goes wrong, delete it and start over again. Okay, with that, I'd like to say thank you and maybe see you next time if there is a next time. Bye.